Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of learning Redefined.SG. In today's episode, we are going to look at a concept called flipped revision. So now, why flip revision? Now let's to answer that question, let's look at the traditional model of how we do revision. Now this is how I have done revision. Now you may have done it differently, but I have a feeling most of us may have done the same way. So the traditional model is something like this. When after we have marked the revision paper or the exam paper, we will look through. So we will select questions that majority of the students got wrong. And then what we will do is we will stand in front of the class like this, in front of the whiteboard. Let's say question 1 is a question that everyone got wrong. So we will start by saying, okay, question 1, solution is this: x plus y equals whatever, and then we will just go on to explain the solution for this particular problem. There are some challenges to this model. Firstly, it's not very efficient. Why? Because when I do lecture, and if you already understand the flipped classroom model, you know that there are so many disruptions in the traditional model of lesson. One, students may not be ready, they may feel bored, or I may have people at the door, or the bell may ring, someone goes to the toilet. So there are many disruptions. And I need to manage the class. So I may have to spend time getting this person to settle down, this person to stop talking. The pupil B may not be doing his work, he may be reading something else. So a lot of classroom management has to go on while I'm trying to explain the question. And it's time consuming because I need to spend a lot of time explaining, and after one round of explanation they may not understand. So I may have to explain it again. And it could be that I'm just explaining to a very small group of students. And so the rest of the class may have already understood and they are ready to move on. But they can't move on because of this small group. And then they start getting restless. And then the vicious cycle comes again. Disruptions come in. I need to manage the class. So the whole process is very time consuming. And normally I find myself sweating quite a bit after going through revision papers or exam papers. Now the second problem with this method is it's not effective at all. It's very ineffective because there's no differentiation. So like I said, I will only go through questions that majority of the students got wrong. Now majority doesn't mean all. So I will have some students who already understood, and they find it pointless to just listen again to my explanation because they already understand, they can move on. Because of selected questions, student A may have question 1, 2, and 3 that he got wrong, but I'm only going through question 2 and 3. So who's going to go through question 1 with him? How is he going to learn his mistakes for question 1? So that is a problem. And sometimes they may just be doing busy work because the students may just be so busy copying, and because of time I will need to quickly move on to the next question. So then I'll be erasing the board, and okay, next, then I'll say like, okay, next question, I'll erase the board, and some student might say, hey, no, wait, Mr. Ng, I'm not done with copying. So it may be just busy work. While some students may have questions, they may want to ask certain things, but because they think that no one else needs to know that, so they may not want to ask. So there are some issues with the traditional model. So there are 2 steps to flip revision. The first step is where teacher records the explanation. So instead of me explaining in class, live, I will record myself explaining every single question in a video that looks something like this. So I will go through every single question, and I will write out, as I write out the solution, I will be explaining it and talking through why this is so. So I'm going to explain while writing out my solution. So that's the first part. Now the second part is where students are in class. This is a picture of my students, and if you look at carefully, every one of them has their own laptops, their own headphones, and they are listening to my explanation, and they're copying down the solutions and doing their corrections. Now the beauty of this is they do not need to watch the entire video. Now that's being silly, because one revision paper or one exam paper may have many questions, and the video may be 30 minutes long or even 50 minutes long. So they don't need to watch the full video because they didn't get all the questions wrong. So they only need to focus on questions that they got wrong. and they can skip through the other questions. So now student A may only need to do corrections for 4 questions, while student B may have to do corrections for 10. And so when student A is finished with his 4 questions, what does he do? He can actually move on. I can assign more work for him to do their own self-learning, or to stretch them, or to give them more work to reinforce their learning. And so they are not hindered by the rest of their friends in class, because they don't have to wait for everyone to finish. Once I'm done, I can move on. So what are some of the pros and cons? I already mentioned a few. So detailed explanation for every single question. And that allows them to focus on questions they got wrong. So students are not penalized just because they are the minority of students who got this question wrong. And now the other powerful thing about this is, if you look, the students are listening to me in class. What am I going to do? I'm not just going to sit down at my table. I have effectively cloned myself in a way 40 times, and I'm actually now co-teaching with myself. So while the students are listening to my explanation to the video, I can be walking around, and if a student doesn't understand this part of the video, or doesn't understand the solution or the explanation, he or she can ask me, and I can come in and give and explain this in another way. So basically I can provide personalized help, and especially for those who are very shy, they feel free and they feel easy to ask because they are not threatened. It's not a threatening environment. Now, but the cons is it's very time consuming. Video creation is very, very time consuming. So I will not lie to you, it is very time consuming. But I feel that the effort is all worth it. Now I'm going to show you how I create the video. Okay? So first step is to scan your revision paper as a PDF. So normally we have revision papers or exam papers as a hard copy. Unless you have it as a soft copy or already have it as a PDF, then that's fine. Now the step 2 is use this software called Microsoft OneNote. Now if you are a Singapore teacher, you have the MOE supplied laptops, you should have Microsoft OneNote installed in your computer as well. Okay? So I will show you later on. I'll give a live demo of how to use Microsoft OneNote and Screencast-O-Matic to record your annotation and explanation. Now the last step then is to upload and embed your videos. Now for that, I will not be showing you in this demo. So if you want to find out more of how to upload and embed your videos, for me I use a Weebly website. You can use any other website. So if you want to find out more, click the link below. Alright, that will show you how to do it. Now, this 3 steps is just about one way in which you can do your revision paper and to record yourself explaining. The other way is to put a camera like this in front of the whiteboard and solve it. So this is another way that works. Or if you have a smart board, you can use a smart board to do recording. Alright, so I will jump into the live demo to show you how from a PDF you can convert it into a Microsoft OneNote and then use Screencast-O-Matic to record. So I have my revision paper. So this is an example of a revision paper. Okay. Now the other thing that you need is a tablet, because especially when you're doing math, you need to write and solve the equations. So you can either use a Wacom Bamboo tablet, or I use something like this. Okay, this is an eBeam Inscribe. Okay. So now I have my revision paper. So the first step that you need to do is to print. Okay, yes, you're actually printing, and if you have OneNote installed, you should have this option that says send to OneNote. Okay, so then they will ask you where do you want to insert the printout. You say okay, and so you see my printout is here already. Now, one of the powerful features of OneNote is this draw feature. So this is where you can start doing all your annotation, your solving your problems. Now, but you need to record yourself solving it. So how you record is by moving over to a tool called Screencast-O-Matic. Now this is a free tool, alright? And so you start recording. Alright, so after you hit start recording, you will see this. You go to full screen. Alright, you go back to your OneNote and you are basically ready to record. So I'm going to hit start recording. You're going to count me down, and then I'm going to go. So now, what is 7 plus 3? 7 plus 3, it is 7 plus 3. If I work it out, it will be 10. Okay? So you can continue working and working and working, and once you're done, you hit done, or you can press alternate P, and voila, your video is here. So then you can then publish to YouTube, or you can save as a video file and upload into anywhere you want. Okay, so this is how easy it is to create your own video. So what do you think? Is this an effective way of going through test papers, revision papers, on exam papers? Please remember to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.